Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into a story that's captivated imaginations for over 3,000 years. Wow. The myth of the Trojan War.
Oh, yeah.
We've got ancient poems, historical analysis, and even modern takes on this epic tale.
It's a story that just keeps inspiring new interpretations, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
But how much truth lies beneath the legend? That's what we're here to explore.
That's the big question, isn't it? It's a fascinating question, and one that scholars, well, they continue to debate. What's so compelling about the Trojan War is that it blends human drama with divine intervention, love and betrayal with war and destiny.
All right, and it all kicks off with a beauty contest among goddesses. Can you imagine being the judge in that situation?
Oh my gosh.
A golden apple inscribed, "For the fairest," tossed right into a divine wedding feast.
The Judgment of Paris, as it's called, wasn't just about vanity, though. It speaks to how even seemingly small events can have huge repercussions.
Oh, that's interesting.
Paris, a Trojan prince, was tasked with choosing the fairest among Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. Each goddess offered him a bribe, and Aphrodite's promise of Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world, sealed the deal.
And that choice, awarding the apple to Aphrodite, set the stage for a decade-long war. It really underscores how deeply the ancient Greeks believed in the power of the gods to influence human affairs.
Absolutely. The idea of fate and divine intervention is woven throughout Greek mythology. But here's something interesting. Archaeological evidence suggests that Troy actually was destroyed by fire.
Wow,
Could it be that there's more to this epic tale than just poetic license?
that's amazing. It makes you wonder if those ancient poets might have been drawing inspiration from real events. Speaking of events, what about the most famous one? The Trojan horse. Could a giant wooden horse really bring down an entire city?
It's one of the most enduring images from the Trojan War, but likely more myth than historical fact. While the horse itself might be a symbol, it could have been inspired by real siege tactics. For instance, horse hides were sometimes used to protect battering rams.
So the Trojan horse as a metaphor for deception, for hiding your true intentions.
Exactly.
That makes sense. And speaking of hidden depths, we can't talk about the Trojan War without mentioning Achilles. Not just for his famous weak spot, but for his whole captivating backstory.
Oh, Achilles, what a figure.
I know.
Imagine a mother so desperate to make her son immortal that she dips him in a mystical river, and then, to avoid the war, he disguises himself as a woman. Talk about a dramatic entrance.
Right. It's like something out of a superhero comic. But he's not just hiding. He's the most skilled warrior of them all.
Here.
Then Agamemnon takes away his war prize, Briseis. And that's when Achilles' legendary rage really boils over.
Right, and that rage, it speaks volumes about the importance of honor and pride in ancient Greek culture. Achilles' withdrawal from battle dramatically shifts the course of the war. It's fascinating how human emotions, even those of a demigod, could have such a profound impact on the fate of nations.
It really makes you appreciate the human element in this epic struggle. But is there any proof that the story was actually written down by someone named Homer? Or was it just passed down through generations, like a campfire story?
That's a question that has puzzled scholars for centuries. We may never know for sure if Homer actually existed, or if the Iliad and Odyssey were the work of multiple poets. What we do know is that these stories were part of an oral tradition, shared and reshaped over generations, before eventually being written down.
Wow, imagine the power of those stories, told and retold around fires, becoming part of a shared history. But let's get back to that horse, that infamous Trojan horse. What was it really about?
The image of the horse being wheeled into Troy has captured imaginations for millennia. It embodies the idea that appearances can be deceiving, that even in victory we must remain vigilant.
Right, and that's a lesson that resonates even today, wouldn't you say?
For sure.
It reminds us to be cautious, to question assumptions, and to be aware that danger can lurk in unexpected places. But the story doesn't end with the fall of Troy, does it?
No, the aftermath of the Trojan War is just as fascinating. We see the tragic fates of those involved, both victors and vanquished, and the lingering consequences of choices made. The Trojan War reminds us that victory can be costly, and that even the most carefully crafted plans can have unintended outcomes.
It makes you wonder, what happened to the key players after the dust settled? What about the woman who started it all? Helen.
There are actually varying accounts of what happened to Helen after the fall of Troy. Some stories depict her returning to Sparta with Menelaus, her Spartan husband, suggesting forgiveness and reconciliation. Others paint a different picture.
Interesting.
But one thing's for sure, Helen's story reminds us that history is often told from multiple perspectives, each with its own interpretation of events.
It's like piecing together a puzzle, trying to understand the full picture from the fragments we have left.
Exactly. And that's what makes exploring these ancient myths so rewarding. It's not just about the stories themselves, but about what they reveal about human nature, about our timeless struggles with love, loss, ambition, and the consequences of our choices.
And it's those timeless themes that continue to resonate with us today.
Absolutely. And as we continue our exploration of the Trojan War, we'll delve deeper into those themes, examining the heroes and their flaws, the gods and their interventions, and the search for the historical truth behind the myth.
It's like we're embarking on our own odyssey, a journey of discovery, through the rich tapestry of history, myth, and the human experience. So stay with us as we uncover the secrets of the Trojan War.
It's incredible how these ancient myths still resonate with us today. The Trojan War, in particular, offers a glimpse into a world where gods and mortals were constantly intertwined and where fate and free will were locked in an epic struggle.
Yeah. It's like holding up a mirror to our own human experience, isn't it? We see our own struggles with love, loss, ambition, and the consequences of our choices reflected in these ancient tales. And speaking of choices, we've talked about the Trojan horse as this symbol of deception, but let's unpack the story itself. After 10 years of grueling siege warfare, the Greeks hatched this audacious plan to build a giant wooden horse and leave it outside Troy's gates, pretending to sail away.
Imagine you're a Trojan citizen watching the Greek fleet disappear over the horizon after a decade of war. You'd be celebrating, thinking the nightmare was finally over.
Yeah, I can practically hear the cheers echoing through the streets of Troy. But little did they know, the Greeks had left behind a surprise, and not the kind you'd find in a birthday present.
Right. Hidden inside the belly of that magnificent horse were Greek warriors just waiting for the opportune moment to strike. And despite warnings from Cassandra, the Trojan princess cursed with the gift of prophecy but doomed never to be believed,
Oh, right.
and Laocoon, a priest who urged the Trojans to destroy the horse, they made a fatal error.
They welcomed that horse right into their supposedly impenetrable city. It's a classic case of beware of Greeks bearing gifts, right?
Absolutely. The symbolism is powerful. It highlights the dangers of complacency and letting down your guard, even when victory seems assured. It also showcases the cunning and strategic brilliance of Odysseus, the mastermind behind the plan.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, were the Trojans really so naive? Could they really have believed this elaborate ruse? Or were they simply exhausted after a decade of war and willing to grasp at any hope of peace?
It's a question historians and military strategists have debated for centuries. Logistically speaking, the idea of building such a massive structure in secret and smuggling enough warriors inside to make a difference raises eyebrows. But remember, we're dealing with myth here. The story of the Trojan horse, even if rooted in some historical truth, has been shaped and embellished over time.
So it's more about the enduring message than the historical accuracy.
Exactly. The Trojan horse serves as a potent symbol of deception and subversion, reminding us to be wary of appearances and to question assumptions. It's a lesson that remains relevant even today, in our age of misinformation and hidden agendas. We have to be critical thinkers, discerning between truth and falsehood, especially when things seem too good to be true.
That's such a powerful takeaway, especially in today's world. So the Trojan horse enters the city, Greek warriors pour out, and chaos ensues. But what about Helen, the woman whose face launched 1,000 ships? What became of her after the fall of Troy?
There are differing accounts of Helen's fate. Some versions depict her reunited with Menelaus, her Spartan husband, suggesting forgiveness and reconciliation. Others portray a different outcome, perhaps even punishment for her role in the war.
It's fascinating how her story reflects the complexities of female characters in ancient Greek society. In some accounts, she's a victim of circumstance, swept up in events beyond her control. In others, she's portrayed as a more active participant, even a manipulator.
That's a keen observation. These myths often served as a way to explore societal norms and values, and Helen's story, with its varying interpretations, certainly embodies those complexities. It reminds us that history is rarely straightforward, and that understanding the past requires looking at it from multiple perspectives.
So the Greeks achieved their objective, but at a tremendous cost. Many heroes, including Achilles, lost their lives on the battlefield. And even for those who survived, the journey home was fraught with peril, both physical and psychological.
This is where the concept of the victor's curse comes into play. While the Greeks triumphed, their victory was bittersweet. The war left scars both on individuals and on their society. It raises important questions. What is the true cost of victory? Can ambition and the pursuit of glory lead to destruction?
Those are questions that echo throughout history, aren't they? The Trojan War reminds us that there are often unintended consequences to our actions, even when we believe we are fighting for a righteous cause.
And it highlights the importance of considering the long-term impact of our choices, both on ourselves and on those around us. The Trojan War wasn't just about a single battle or a single city. It was about the enduring power of choices and the ripple effect they have on the course of history.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in shaping the future, and that our actions can have profound and lasting consequences. But for now, let's turn our attention to some of the key individuals who shaped this epic conflict. The heroes whose choices, both noble and flawed, left an indelible mark on history.
Let's start with Achilles, the embodiment of the warrior ideal, blessed with superhuman strength and skill, yet burdened by a tragic flaw, his pride and his rage.
He's such a captivating figure, a demigod who struggles with very human emotions. His story reminds us that even the greatest heroes have weaknesses, and that our flaws can often lead to our downfall.
Exactly. And it's this complexity that makes him so relatable even across millennia. We see his vulnerability in his love for Patroclus, his rage in his confrontation with Agamemnon, and his acceptance of his fate in his final battle with Hector.
His story is a reminder that true strength lies not just in physical prowess, but in the ability to confront our own vulnerabilities and make difficult choices, even when those choices lead to personal sacrifice.
Now, let's consider Odysseus, the cunning strategist, the master of disguise, the man known for his intellect and resourcefulness. He represents a different kind of heroism, one based on wit, adaptability, and resilience.
He's the ultimate survivor, facing one challenge after another, both during the war and on his epic journey home. His 10-year odyssey, filled with mythical creatures, treacherous seas, and tempting distractions, is a testament to his unwavering determination to return to his family.
It's a journey that tests his limits, forcing him to confront his own mortality and the power of fate. But through it all, he relies on his cunning, his ability to think strategically, and his unwavering belief in his own ability to overcome adversity.
His story is a reminder that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, we can find a way forward by drawing on our inner strength, our resourcefulness, and our ability to adapt to changing circumstances. Now let's talk about Hector, the noble Trojan prince who defended his city with honor and courage, even though he knew its fate was sealed.
Hector stands in stark contrast to Achilles. He fights not for personal glory, but for his city, his family, and his people. He embodies duty, loyalty, and compassion, even towards his enemies.
His farewell to his wife, Andromache, and their son, Astyanax, is one of the most poignant and heartbreaking moments in the Iliad. It humanizes the war, reminding us of the countless individuals whose lives were shattered by conflict and the enduring power of love in the face of tragedy.
And his final confrontation with Achilles, knowing that he is fated to lose, showcases his unwavering courage and his commitment to defending his home and his loved ones.
Hector's story reminds us that true heroism isn't just about winning battles. It's about standing up for what you believe in, even when facing impossible odds. It's about loyalty, sacrifice, and the courage to face your fate with dignity. As we delve deeper into these individual stories, we gain a greater understanding of the human drama that unfolded during the Trojan War. It's not just a tale of gods and monsters. It's a reflection of our own human complexities, our struggles with love and loss, our capacity for both greatness and cruelty.
And those complexities are what make these myths so enduring. They offer us a glimpse into the past, but they also speak to the timeless truths of human nature, reminding us that the challenges we face today are not so different from those faced by those who came before us.
So we've talked about the heroes, their flaws, their choices, but there's another layer to this epic drama. The gods and goddesses, constantly meddling in human affairs. They weren't just observing from Mount Olympus, they were active participants, pulling strings, taking sides, and adding fuel to the fire.
Oh yeah, they were right there in the thick of it. You could almost see them as these larger-than-life personalities, with their own loves, hates, and rivalries, playing out their dramas on the stage of human history. The Trojan War becomes this cosmic battleground where divine agendas clash, and mortals become pawns in their games.
It's like they turned the Trojan War into their own reality show, complete with alliances, betrayals, and dramatic plot twists. But thinking about it seriously, this divine intervention speaks volumes about how the ancient Greeks saw the world.
Right. Their worldview was deeply intertwined with the belief that fate played a huge role in their lives. While they believed in free will, they also saw how divine forces, the whims of the gods, could influence events and even shape destiny.
So it's this tension between human choice and divine intervention, a theme that echoes throughout so many stories, even today. But doesn't that raise some tricky questions? Like, if the gods were pulling the strings, could humans really be held responsible for their actions?
That's a question that philosophers have wrestled with for centuries. For the ancient Greeks, the gods often represented forces beyond human control, the unpredictable elements of nature, or even those deep-seated passions that sometimes drive us to act in ways we later regret.
So the gods weren't just these distant, perfect beings. They reflected the complexities of human nature, the good and the bad, the rational and the irrational. And their presence in the Trojan War adds this whole other dimension to the story.
Absolutely, their interventions, even when seemingly unfair or cruel, highlight the challenges and uncertainties of human existence. The Trojan War becomes a reflection of how even the best-laid plans can go awry, how chance and circumstance can shape outcomes, and how sometimes we face forces beyond our comprehension.
It reminds us that life isn't always fair or predictable, right?
Unfortunately, no.
But even within this framework of fate and divine intervention, the Trojan War also emphasizes the importance of human agency.
Exactly. The characters still make choices, take actions, and face consequences. Even if those choices are made within a larger, divinely influenced context, the struggle is real, the stakes are high, and the outcomes are determined by a complex interplay of human and divine forces.
So it's not just about surrendering to fate, but about navigating it, making the best choices you can, even when the odds are stacked against you. And that brings us back to the heart of our exploration. What can we learn from the myth of the Trojan War? What timeless truths can we glean from these ancient stories?
One of the most powerful lessons is the importance of humility. The Trojan War is filled with characters who let pride, arrogance, or unchecked ambition lead them to ruin. Think of Agamemnon, blinded by his desire for glory, or Paris, whose infatuation with Helen triggered the whole conflict. Their stories remind us that our choices have consequences, both for ourselves and others, and that humility, considering the needs of others, is vital.
It's a reminder to think before you act, to weigh the potential consequences of your choices, and to remember that even the smallest actions can have a ripple effect, setting off a chain of events that can impact countless lives.
Another important lesson is the enduring power of love and loyalty. Despite all the bloodshed and betrayal, the Trojan War also showcases the bonds that connect us, the ties of family, friendship, and love that sustain us even in the darkest of times.
Think of the unwavering devotion between Achilles and Patroclus, or the heartbreaking scene of Hector saying goodbye to Andromache and their son. These moments of human connection shine through the darkness of war, reminding us that love and loyalty are forces that can endure even the most devastating trials.
And those are just a few of the timeless truths woven into the tapestry of the Trojan War. It's a story that challenges us to confront our own flaws, to consider the consequences of our choices, and to cherish the bonds that connect us to one another.
Exactly. And as we wrap up our deep dive into this epic myth, we invite you to continue exploring it, to ponder its layers of meaning, and to discover your own interpretations of its enduring legacy. Because the Trojan War isn't just a story from the past, it's a reflection of our present, a mirror to our own human complexities.
And for all of you out there who crave knowledge and love exploring the mysteries of history, mythology, science, and everything in between, we invite you to join us on this grand adventure of the mind.
Subscribe to the All Sorts Podcast YouTube channel. Think of it as launching your own ship, setting sail across the vast ocean of knowledge. Like and share our videos and help us spread the joy of discovery.
Together, let's unlock the secrets of the past, explore the wonders of the present, and chart a course towards a future filled with curiosity and wonder.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.